Director of Digital News Media at Signal Media, which is the official news outlet of AFCEA International. Welcome to our Disruptive by Design podcast. Tune in as Signal Media speaks with leaders under 40 years of age across industry, military, and academia as they share their experiences being disruptive by design. And they navigate the world of information technology, military systems, and intelligence. In this episode, please welcome Andrew Funk and Matthew Denny. Hi, guys.
Hey, Kim.
Hello.
It's so good to see you, and thanks for joining. And I had last seen you guys in Colorado, but so I'm very happy to see you guys again. Could you please introduce yourselves and tell everybody a little about yourselves? Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm Andrew Funk. I'm I guess now I'm the VP, Vice President of the Emerging Leaders at the Rocky Mountain AFCEA chapter. For my work, I am a data scientist. I work as a government civilian for the Air Force at NORAD and US Northcom.
Yeah, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Denny. A lot of people know me as Mohawk Matt. If you see me in a picture, you'll know why. But yeah, I do all kinds of things. I'm mostly known in the kind of the DoD space for kind of my hyper awesome energy and just helping people solve problems. I personally have a company called Denlin Group that we do a lot of variety of things, mostly focus on kind of the brand development, helping people become the known expert within their niche. And then on the other side, kind of that strategic conversation, team building type of stuff, workshopping type of stuff. But personally, my background history, I was a Marine many years ago. Crazy it was that long ago. 2008 is when I went into boot camp. And then got out in 2012, went to the Navy civilian side for 9 years after that, and then left that in 2021 and kind of went on our own and built our own business, my wife and I. So a little bit about me.
Okay, very cool. And how did you guys first get involved with AFCEA or first hear about it? How did it, come into your world, I guess?
Yeah, so I've been going to AFCEA things for many years, probably since 2016, 2017. But I told Andrew this recently, I knew AFCEA as a conference thrower. Like that is my experience with AFCEA up until 12 weeks ago. Like up until extremely recently, that's all I thought AFCEA did. And so I just go to conferences. I think I would register or sign up to get a cheaper ticket, but not actually know what I was doing in the AFCEA universe. And then it was a recent early this year, actually, end of last year, early this year, I was doing some other work with Alicia Kelly, who is on the international side of AFCEA. A lot of people know it well. And she was kind of talking to me all at the same time about January-ish when I met Andrew here in Colorado Springs, where I moved here last year. And so I met him at an AFCEA, an evening event. So all in the same couple days, I'm getting two different AFCEA people kind of hey, maybe you should volunteer. Maybe you should help out the community, different things. And so Andrew was talking about emerging leaders and the value of that and helping people grow within their careers and community. And so I guess I was well, I guess they're coming at me all at the same time. It's time to actually join AFCEA. And so when we met Kim a few weeks ago, I'd only been an AFCEA member for a week and a half at that point.
Right, and newly minted. Love that.
Yep.
How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, for me, so I actually a little bit about because so I'm pretty new in my career. I've been in school for a long time. I did a associate's degree after high school, and then went to get a bachelor's degree. Did that in physics, and then I got out of that, and a lot of issues finding a job actually. And so I was in the process of looking for a career and things like that. I came across a kind of a cyber boot camp called Secure Set back, like 3 years ago now, just because I heard people who got jobs through that, doing that program. And while I was at that program, I met they would have, networking events, because it was like a program to get you a job, get you a career. But a lot of the AFCEA group came through. They hosted a happy hour there at the school. And that's how I first had contact with AFCEA. Been a member now for three years or so. And during COVID, it kind of slowed down. Things for about a year or so were very slow. But following that, kind of picking back up, it was mostly just, monthly happy hours or social events, or kind of speakers in industry coming out to talk. But after COVID, got more involved with the volunteering side, and started to really enjoy, the fact that you're helping the community. And that's kind of what got me more involved, I would say.
Right, and it's was impressive to me when I saw you guys at the Rocky Mountain Cyberspace Symposium, kind of what you're doing for the subgroup within AFCEA at that chapter, the emerging leaders. So I got to go to the event that you guys had at the Golden Bee, that famous, pub at the Broadmoor. But tell us a little bit about kind of what you're doing to grow your emerging leaders group, especially kind of post-COVID. So there is a place for, the under 40 crowd within the greater AFCEA chapter.
So one of the big things we've been doing is volunteering at the robotics and drone events. So local high schools every month. Well, when it's in season, I think it's out of season now, but we were doing that for 5 months or so. And that was like once every Saturday, we'd go to a high school gym and help out with Pikes Peak Robotics. Actually put that on, another local nonprofit, but we kind of partnered with them to help them fund that and get kids kits and things like that. And then the emerging leaders side, we kind of helped provide volunteers. So that's one kind of thing we've been working on, and that's the larger chapter is also very much involved with that. But that was a good opportunity for the younger side to actually go and show our face and volunteer. We've also been trying to increase events, and so there's a lot of things we need to improve, but I think it's a good start, and we continue to work on that.
The reason I want to get involved in emerging leaders at all was because now I'll be 38 this year. So in AFCEA rules, I'm on the upper end of the emerging leaders category. And so while I wanted to give back because when I was that emerging leader, new to my career, I had mentor here and there, but I didn't know how to ask for a mentor. I didn't know how to get involved in things. And so it was, for me, really Andrew's kind of fault, we'll call it in a good way. The way he just kind of pitched it was just kind of helping the community, especially this local community, people at every level, military, civilian, anyone involved in AFCEA or could be, find a way to build the career they want to, find the resources they're looking for. Because at that new young emerging leaders, you don't always know how to do that. And it's kind of, especially in the government space, it's kind of a bad faux pas. It's expected that you just know. And so there's not a lot of that. And so that's what really drew me to that emerging leaders specific part of AFCEA. And I got to spend, I was West and got to spend time with the emerging leaders group out there at the international level. And the community they were building was really incredible. And then working with Andrew on some stuff we're building, it's a really cool opportunity.
Right, yeah, thanks for making that place, in your region for, younger people like that. Can you share kind of, you're at the beginning of, growing this emerging leaders chapter. Do you, what sort of goals or vision or, future events or, what are you guys up to, in the coming months and, seasons, I guess?
Yeah, so right now I think it's just getting a broader base of core members, because we'll have, I think our chapter is relatively large, but in terms of membership, but the people who actually show up to events or, help out, it kind of seems to be the same group of people. So that's I think that's the biggest focus. But in doing that, that means, we gotta be a little more creative with our events and getting people out here and helping them both in their career and just building like a group, a community that they can feel safe at and enjoy and that type of thing. So I think right now that's kind of the main focus is building up that base.
I want to make everyone jealous of what we're doing at Emerging Leaders, Colorado Springs chapter, whatever it's called, because I get the words wrong because I'm new. That's my goal. And I know I'm just helping Andrew. He's the one leading the show, but I'm like, let's get some things. I want to get to the point where when you move to Colorado Springs and you're in this GovCon space, that you are directed to our chapter, to the Emerging Leaders Program, because of the reputation we have for providing mentorship, providing events, providing a community. That's kind of my goal as a support to Andrew's vision. And I'm also kind of crazy. So let's go.
Yeah, you're not crazy. But yeah, that mentorship piece I think is really important too, because that's kind of what brought me over to like when I came in, there's not much of a young crowd, right? Especially in the Colorado Springs area, it's kind of harder to get that younger side of things, and that's the same across a lot of other organizations.
Right, and what's your region like? I kind of know, my region here in DC, and it's plus and minuses, but I guess what's unique about the Rocky Mountain chapter, maybe itself, or even kind of the working environment physically in your area? What's that like, and kind of what are the kind of things you guys are facing, or trends, I guess.
So Colorado Springs is a very heavy military community. So there's that kind of demographic. A lot of people here are either active military or retired military or have some connection to military, right? Like even myself, I'm my dad was retired Army, and then I'm working for the military now.
I'll say something that's unique is, so coming from a Marine Corps background and then heavy Navy side, I not intimidated because Marine Corps raw, but out of place in the Air Force Army community because there's so much Army and so much Air Force here and Space Force even. And so I'm trying to find my place in what those are and what those, even what the ranks mean, because this community is such a heavy military community, but it is very heavy Air Force, Army, Space Force. And so coming from that heavy Navy, heavy Marine Corps side, it's different for me getting involved, learning how they interact. They don't yell at each other like we do, kind of thing. So but it's also been cool just to learn the different parts of the different services, because that is a big part of this area, as well as intel. And there's way more than military in Colorado Springs. There's DOD, there's Missile Defense Agency, there's other government agencies. There's a lot here. And so as I've gone around, even just going down the street to get a burrito, I'm running into government contractor types or government people. And so there's a huge opportunity to really keep that community going and grow it because of everyone that's just kind of here.
Yeah,
Yeah, and another big community around the area is like cyber. Cyber is a huge industry in the area, both on the DoD side, government contractor side, and private. And that's the same. I think that's shared along like up in Denver too. Like there's a decent amount of tech and cyber in the area, and I think that plays to why our chapter has a Rocky Mountain Cyberspace Symposium. A lot of space and a lot of cyber in the area.
right, absolutely. And one thing I love about doing this podcast, and then also in Signal Magazine, our print magazine, we have a space just for emerging leaders to kind of share their voices in our Disruptive by Design column. So people can always submit to write a column for that. But with the podcast, I love being able to kind of have this voice from you all of emerging leaders. I spend a lot of my time listening to our current leaders in the nation, which are fabulous, but it's your next generation that's going to be, in charge. And what kind of perspective do you guys offer now as emerging leaders, and why should leaders today pay attention to you emerging leaders?
I think because they're going to retire, because as they go out, they are looking for people to pass the torch to, just like I am looking for the junior emerging leaders, the next, whatever the next age is coming. I'm out of high school and college. I am seeing that there is access for emerging leaders to become like chairs and even leads of chapters and things that or go counter to what I heard kind of around the water cooler. And so that was a really, I had kind of a bad taste for AFCEA, and that is changing now that I've gotten involved and started to see that what the kind of community and inclusiveness that is available.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely spot on. Like they're not going to be here forever, so we gotta take the reins. I think that what's different about our younger side generations, however you want to refer to what the 18 to 40, I think there's a few generations in there, but I think our age group is a lot more willing for adapting new technologies quickly, like, oh, if this isn't working, let's change it. Like, and I think that's something that both in government and like organizations with AFCEA that are closely connected to government, like that's something that the younger generation is going to bring and hopefully adapt the processes, because right now it's frustrating when you see these processes that, like, and you ask why are we doing it this way? Oh, well, that's the way we have always done it. And it's like, well, that doesn't seem very efficient. Let's change it up, right? So I think that's something we bring that that's going to change things, and hopefully we have an impact on maybe making things some more efficient, better organized, or bringing in tech where it's not, or making when you have a professional social meeting, you don't have to show up in a suit. You can come and have a beer, and it's fun. You don't have to be so uptight, kind of stuff like that. So I think that's what's refreshing about kind of leading or bringing in this newer side of ways to work, right? And be professional still, but we don't have to necessarily dress up in a suit to be a professional.
Yes, and I think you, to Andrew's point of that emerging leader, kind of by default, probably has less government experience, and AFCEA's heavy government community, and with that comes no status quo, and they will challenge things, and they will want to make a new process. Like I was talking to some college students a few weeks ago, months ago. Wow, timelines fly. I'm in South Carolina, and they were like challenging me on things that I thought I was like challenging the status quo on, and they're like, "No, why would you do that? It's a stupid idea." I was like, and I caught myself. I started to say the words, because that's how I do it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to say that. And so that emerging leader, as they're coming from college, another career field or something, into this GovCon community, they kind of by default don't have that. Even the Andrew and I or I can't speak for him, that I kind of get if I don't pay attention to it, just by who I'm around so much. That's why I think, to add on to Andrew's point, is a real value, is that perspective. And they don't care what the government 5,000 contract, whatever says, or that's not how the Navy law is, or the Army Space Force thing is. They don't care. They're like, that's a dumb idea. Do it this way. And that even the way they talk is more frank and honest than even my generation does.
Right. And I love knowing how you guys shared kind of your, kind of frankness about your career path. It wasn't, from A to B. And Matt, how you kind of had that heavy military experience with the Marine Corps, and then later with the Navy, kind of that, military operational experience. And then now you become an entrepreneur. And then Andrew kind of, I love knowing you worked at a liquor store. Because when I first met you, I was so impressed, like, wow, you're a data scientist from NORAD, with a physics background. I would have never guessed that it wasn't so easy. So I think it's important for people to know that. Can you guys kind of share, each of you, kind of, I don't know, any career advice, or kind of, now that you've kind of come around in this path in your career, what's that been like? Or do you have any advice, I guess?
Sure. Yeah. From age 18 to 23, I cleaned sewers. I was a DJ. I was a truck driver. For me, it was always finding something else to learn from and experience. And I had like 3-4 jobs because I had the stamina to have 3 jobs at a time. I sleep like 2 hours a night and drink 10 Red Bulls and be fine. Probably why I have health issues now. So don't recommend that. Whatever age you are listening to this. But it's, as I started to grow, for me personally, the best advice is to be curious. About what somebody else is doing across from you in your cubicle, or your other teammate is doing. Because just because you come into a career because of a college degree, or your experience, or even your desire at the time, doesn't mean you actually might be better at something else. I was doing kind of what I'm doing now as a full business that I own. I was doing it 15 years ago. I didn't think it would turn anything. I switched careers completely multiple times. And then 3 years ago, accidentally fell back into this because there was a gap and I knew how to do it. And so I just kind of did it. And now it's become this whole identity that completely changed my trajectory in ways that, like, I have books I'm writing that I don't tell my English teacher, I'll probably faint. Like, it's so, and it was all because I was told by a mentor to be curious, to see what other people are doing and try different things. And that's the advice I kind of give to the emerging leader side. But I want to, before Andrew goes, I want to peel going up the other direction. As you have these emerging leaders coming in, let them be curious. Let them try something different. Let them, hey, you got your tasking done this week? That's awesome. Do you want to try this? Do you have any thoughts in this? Pull them into that meeting. I mean, don't bore them, but give them that exposure to the opportunity to be curious. Because I think it goes both ways. We want to learn different things yourself, but also as leaders, provide the space for people to do that too.
Yeah, I totally agree with the be curious. So, when I got done with high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, okay, I'll go to community college, see if I want to do college thing, right? And if you don't know what you want to do, I think that's a good, some people know they want to be an electrician, or they want to go into trade, or some people just don't know. So I didn't know. I for a while there, I thought I wanted to be, go work on renewable energy or something. And so I went to community college and learned a few things. And, you know, it was a class there that got me interested in physics. From there, I was like, okay. And it was like a chemistry class, actually. Chemistry got me into physics. And then I, you know, was like, well, you got to do math. And it turned out I actually liked math. I didn't like math in high school, but you kind of open your lens and you're like, oh, this is actually, you know, this is nice. But then I did that kind of academic route, and I figured out I did not want to do that. I was a researcher for 2 years there. I thought I was going to go on, be Dr. Funk in physics and all this. And I was like, no, this is not for me. So I would also say be like willing to change your goals, and like, you know, it's good to like, but I would say also finish things. Like don't immediately give up on things. Because I kind of knew like probably it was probably sophomore year or end of sophomore year, maybe junior year. I was like, I'm probably not going to do physics when I, but you know, that's still an accomplishment. And so I stuck with it. But then after that, knew I didn't want to do that. So I kind of was just looking for opportunities, right? And I was kind of open to anything that wasn't what I was doing, because I knew I did not like that. So I don't be afraid to like kind of change course, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. I knew there was a lot of opportunities in like defense and like tech and things like that. And that was also kind of an interest of mine. So I kind of went that path. So I would just say, don't be afraid to just adapt to what the needs of in your area, or adapt your interest to kind of try something else. You don't have to be set on one thing and then accomplish it and then say, you know, don't be afraid to change after that point, after you've gotten to something and you're like, oh, I'm going to be starting over. No, people value that previous experience. And, you know, it's funny, having a liquor store on my resume was like kind of weird, but like people are like, oh, you probably have some good patience with people, right? Because it's and it, yeah.
Yes.
Doing that for a couple of years, you do get a little bit of the ability to deal with people. So
Right, right. I love that. And then I guess one last question, kind of what advice would you give to people to, you know, if they want to try to start getting involved in a professional organization, whether it's AFCEA or another one, and then for people kind of in your area, in the Rocky Mountain area, if they want to get involved with your emerging leader group?
Go for crazy. Try to volunteer and go to something that maybe makes you uncomfortable. And because there's a lot of communities out there, whatever it is, whether it's AFCEA in the gov space, deaf, there's so many different ones, whatever that is, try to volunteer for something you don't do every day. Go for that crazy role. Hey, oh, you need somebody to be the master trash picker upper? Sure, I never did that. Or you need math. I'm going to always give to Andrew. I will never volunteer for math. Been there, done that. Math people worldwide don't want me to volunteer for math. So I will never do that one, but go for something that puts you out of your comfort zone and be, like Andrew said, gives you that different experience, because that's what I think these communities have as a value. It's not just, it doesn't matter what they're called, which one you join, but it's an opportunity to learn a different skill, maybe build a different community, maybe similar to your job or completely different. I volunteer for AFCEA now, and a couple other government kind of communities, but I also volunteer just locally. Like I just do some things that are completely outside of my wheelhouse. My wife and I went and built a charcuterie board. like a river table, because woodworking makes me uncomfortable, because I'm going to cut my finger off. There's math involved, and I don't like it. But I did it to push myself out of that boundary, and my wife always wanted to. She will listen to this anyway. But yeah, find that community and try to volunteer to something that you can learn from. And if it doesn't work, you're volunteering. Go find a different one.
Yeah, and the question was, how do you get involved, right?
Yeah, either in any organization or especially also in yours.
Yeah, so definitely that comfort zone. Yeah, Matt's completely right there. When I first started going to events, it's a bunch of random people you don't know, but like, a good thing about all these organizations is if you're kind of like uncomfortable like that, most of the time they have like happy hours or very like or go to a soccer game or things that are fun. So like, don't be afraid to just go do that and just, meet some people, but it's not going to be like, yeah, it's not super formal or anything. It's just, you're out there meeting new people. And yeah, I understand sometimes that puts you in an uncomfortable place, but after doing it a few times, you get a lot more comfortable, and that builds yourself too. Like, and that's part of it, I think, is getting people more comfortable, just going, do it, and then the next time it's much easier to do that. That's a good skill that I think everyone can pick up on, and I think that was the biggest thing I needed when I was 3-4 years ago. I was not comfortable just going to random well, not random, but like events to just meet people I don't know, right? But yeah, for our chapter, you can follow our LinkedIn page. You can reach out. You can check out our website. Yeah, so just keep an eye out for there, and we post things there, and come by and say hi.
Right, that's
and Andrew hit it perfectly at the end. Come by and say hi. Actually say hello to people that are in those communities, that are, whether it's with us in AFCEA, Colorado, I think that's what it's called, Rocky Mountain, keep getting it wrong. And just ask. And it's volunteer. They want you, I promise.
Yeah, I love that. Straight from people who've been in the trenches, such as you guys. Great advice. And for everybody's calendars for next year, if you're in Colorado Springs, go to Rocky Mountain Cyberspace Symposium, Tuesday, February 20th. I already have it in my calendar, through Thursday, February 22nd. So if you go, you'll see these guys, and before that, check out their events that they're planning as part of the emerging leaders. So,
and if you happen to be in the Colorado Springs area, come freaking join us. Let's do something crazy.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. It was really a joy to talk to you guys. Can't wait to see you back in Colorado Springs next year and see what you've been up to. And I'll see you before that, Matt, at the Sea Air Space.
Yep.
And good luck with your efforts. And thanks again.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, Kim.